What year did you and I really start working together? What do you remember? Which Mania it was? I mean, we did obviously we did a lot of TVs and everything, but everything kind of goes by Manias, I think.
Yeah. I think we started right before you and Randy.
Yeah.
It was right around that time. Because I had done some of your matches, and I remember I did the one with Brock that was in California that ended up in the DQ.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was some sentiment that you should have put him over instead of letting him kill you after. And we
Right.
went to the Hell in a Cell in Little Rock.
Right.
And I could tell that you were like resigned to the fact you were going to do what everybody wanted you to do, but it was like, I don't think I made that bad of a decision.
Right.
And for some reason, I took that opening and wrote the whole match out. And I remember sometimes I would give that to you, and you'd take what you liked and you discard what you didn't. And that day you just went, yep, looks good to me. I said, okay, he just wants to get through this one.
Yeah. And it actually turned out.
It turned out really good.
Yeah, it turned out really good once we got into it.
Yeah.
It was the broken hand and all the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
In Little Rock. Yeah. That
And when
turned
you
out
had
to be a really
Heyman by the tie pulling him in.
No, that actually really turned into a really good Hell in a Cell match.
It was.
But, yeah. What year was that? That was what,
203, 204,
yeah.
around that area, that time.
Yeah. And then we went all the way to
All the way to the end.
all the way to the end.
All the way to the end.
All the way to the end. Because you were there for the Boneyard too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was toward the end there, the last 4 or 5 years, for some reason, every year, Vince would be like, well, we're going to break the streak this year. Sir, can I ask you something? Yeah. Why? Why not? Nothing lasts forever. This could. And I'll remember the time that he wanted Edge to break the streak.
Yeah.
And I went to Edge and I said, hey, listen, just so you know, he's thinking about you breaking the streak. And you know Adam, he's a great freaking guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But if he gets mad, he gets mad. He's got a temper. And he was like, he got mad. No way. I'm not doing that. You can tell him to go to hell. I will not break the streak. No. I said, I'm just the messenger, dude. But yeah, I don't know, because I don't know if he was mad because it was becoming bigger than anything else he'd put on the card for WrestleMania. It definitely got higher than any title match.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he just had that in mind. And it all took off with you and Shawn. It was a nice little streak. It was going well. And then they booked you and Shawn. And if you'll remember, we tried to start that thing up in San Antonio in the Royal Rumble when you eliminated Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that you guys wanted to go like about 10 to 15 minutes after it came down to you two.
Yeah.
And Vince was like, God, 2 baby faces. Who cares about that? And you guys tore the friggin' house down. And then, but then he wouldn't let it happen that year. So he went for it the next year. And I think it was like a throwaway at first.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a throwaway, but it's like
it wasn't supposed to be what it was.
It was never supposed to be what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that we got assignments. I think it was the first year that we got assignments to each story. And me and Dave Kapoor were assigned to that story. We had so much fun with it. And, you know, I'm sure you remember, we're sitting there and we're doing the first rehearsal, ring rehearsal. And you're lacing your boots and you go, hey, P.S., when are we on? I thought, I don't really want to answer that right now before the rehearsal even starts. So I kind of blew you off. Yeah. You go, Michael, when are we on? You're on 5th. How many matches are after us? About 4 or 5 or 6. You stopped lacing your boots. You looked over at Shawn. This just went to a new level. Then I don't think it was then. But you asked, well, how much time do we have? 30. Good luck with that.
No. It was no.
It was 25.
It was it was like in the 15,
Really?
20, and I was like, yeah, I can't get to the ring in 15 minutes.
But that match, it was just, and I know I got on you guys' nerves, because you guys would say something, and I would think about it and try to step back and look at it in a different perspective. Hey, maybe that works even better this way. But it was art. I got lost in it.
Right.
And I knew the finish. And you really started rooting for Shawn to break the streak.
Right.
And I knew the streak wasn't going to get broke, but every false finish. And what was funny, what was the big kick out where you had the exasperation on your face? Shawn didn't even see that, did he?
No.
He didn't even know. And I mean, it just grew. And I'll never forget, you guys were about 25 in. And Jerry Briscoe is going apeshit because he's doing gorilla.
Right. He's doing
timing.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, Michael, how much longer they got? And Vince just comes over and goes, let him go. Vince said, let him go.
Let him go.
And you guys went another 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy. You could have gone longer.
Oh, it could have been. Yeah.
You really, I mean, that is the art that this business is, because everybody in the building, they come in, they want to believe that these two individuals, or four, whatever it may be, really don't like each other. Everybody wants to see a good slobber knocker, knockdown, throw out fight. And then we have to go to the trouble of suspending their disbelief to make them to believe that. And you guys, I don't think they ever thought you guys hated each other, but man, they thought Shawn has a chance of doing this.
Yeah. No. Shawn and I had such a storied history anyway. I mean, just I don't ever remember having a bad match with Shawn, but all of our matches forever had always been just stellar.
Yes.
And then we end up both of us on the backside of our careers, and just they threw us together. Let's let them roll. Okay, well, we're going to disrespect them on the way too, and put them on fifth. Okay, like I don't think like Shawn's mindset and my mindset. I don't understand what they thought would have changed. We were both such competitive and competitors that we weren't going to supposed to take that as an insult.
Yeah.
It was just like, are you kidding me? That may be the absolute best in-ring performer of all time, and I had a pretty fair career too.
It's still the greatest match WrestleMania history,
Wow,
in my view. And yes, I'm partial, and I'm proud to be partial. I've been able to produce a lot of good moments. I've been producing WrestleMania events since like early 2000s, but that's the one. And like I said, I've had some, I've had Roman's matches for years, and he's one of the ones that has the old school, in him. He could have gone through a riot.
Yeah. He's got an edge to him.
He's got an edge to him,
It took a while.
It did take a while. He always wanted to be that tribal chief. He just wasn't allowed to be. You know what I mean? And he didn't know how to speak up for himself at the time. But he's doing okay.
He's doing all right for himself. I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you're again, all the matches the last, 15 years of my career, probably the 10.
Yeah.
Breaking the streak when he actually did pull the trigger on breaking the streak. I don't think you knew.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And
we had gone back and forth.
He wavered the whole week.
Yeah.
And I had talked to him, and I felt at the time I had him, and okay, we're not breaking the streak. And then something happened. He was wavering earlier in the day, and I talked to him again. And then I was under the impression that you were going over.
Right.
And if you'll remember, we were at the practice ring, and you guys were in the turnbuckle or something. And I said, yeah, here's where I was thinking you could do this, this, and that, and that. And you had just had this look. And I looked at you, and you go, you don't know, do you? And I go, no, what? Brock's going over. And at that point, there was no more arguing. What were we? I think doors had already opened.
Yeah, it was late. It was late.
It was late decision. And at that point, it was like, well, okay. And on one hand, you go, well, if anybody was going to break it, Brock Lesnar. But he didn't need it.
Right.
He was a made man.
Right.
Somebody like Roman at that time in his career, or there were other people that it may have benefited more.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think it should have never been broken, and just gone down as just one of those things. And who knows, if it never was broken, you may still be making a yearly appearance.
No. I would have walked. I would have probably walked. If he hadn't have broken, I would have probably walked a lot sooner than I did, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I knew, like, physically I wasn't where I should be from my personal, like, I think I would have had grace from the equity I'd built up through the years. I would have had grace with a lot of our audience. But like, for me personally, I was just like, I was chasing the dragon. Like, I was looking for that one match to go and hang my hat on and said, that's it, bang. Like Shawn had, right? Like, Shawn had the perfect ending. He went to, those last two matches we had. Well, we'll forget about Saudi and that catastrophe.
I watched that about a year and a half ago, and I just laughed through the whole thing.
You can't help it. Like, now you can't. Now it was very serious that day and that night. But now it's like, I want to laugh. I need to laugh about something, because it's such.